I'm Melissa. I am a freshman on campus. So, can you say your name, spell it out for us?
Oh, Sage, they, them, S-A-G-E. Last name Thorne, Thorne. And I am a freshman.
Freshman too. Okay. What's your major?
Environmental science.
That's nice. Okay. So, our question's about food insecurity. Did you know we have a food pantry on
I
campus?
did.
Do you know anyone that goes there? Not that you have to say names, but do you just know people who
Me.
use it?
I do.
Do you enjoy it there?
Yeah. I definitely see room for improvement, but it has definitely fed me many a day.
Yeah. Do you have anything you want to say that they could improve on?
Um, I definitely would say that having potential recipes that people could use, because I cook a lot and I like to cook a lot, but I know that's not the same for everyone, and I know that it is a privilege to have like the time and energy to learn how to cook. So I think having recipes from what is there might be a really good start to helping make the food pantry more accessible. I also feel like I know we go what is based off of what is donated, but I think like asking more for like particular staples that will help people be fed in a more cohesive way that they can cook with, and that like is like nutritious and not like more random. Because like I'm used to working with random ingredients, but I'm like, oh man, that's a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot of ingredients, not a meal.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
So, obviously, you do relate personally to this issue. Um, how long have you, not to say that you are food insecure, but has that been a thing throughout your life, or is that just coming to college?
It's been a thing throughout my life. You know, we grew up pretty poor, like in trailer parks, and we were houseless for a long time. And that's actually how I got about learning to cook, is because, you know, we had very little to work with. We only had what was in the food pantry, so I had to get creative and make do. And then even growing up, you know, my mother wasn't the best. You know, she did her best. She was mostly working, but she didn't cook a lot. And so it was kind of up to me to feed myself and my siblings. So that's what I did, you know. And then I grew up, I got out, you know, and then you know, working minimum wage, it's not enough to feed yourself, you know. So I've been going to food pantries pretty much my entire life. I'm doing a lot better now that I'm in college, especially since we have like a really good amount of resources here in Denton, which I'm very grateful for. Like we have the food pantry here. There's food pantries throughout the county and the city, and then also like a really good community mostly. And I feel like one thing that we could do or stand to do here at UNT is connect people who use the food pantry with each other. You know, because you know what's cheaper than getting a bunch of ingredients individually is coming together with it. You know, and maybe doing something like that.
That's really nice. Do you think this is a common issue regarding college students, food insecurity?
Absolutely. I would say that a large problem is like generally, especially with home ec programs getting cut, and a lot of people not growing up with like home ec in school, not growing up with two parents who work or one parent who works and can't teach them to cook. A lot of people don't know how to cook with ingredients and can't afford those ingredients. So I would say it's a very common problem, because then what does that leave? Eating out, which is very expensive and not very like good for the body, and or just not eating at all, you know, or eating ramen every day for 3 months and catching scurvy. True story. I knew someone that happened to because they couldn't afford anything else, you know.
Okay. Do you feel that there's a lack of locations around campus, like outside of campus but near, like for food or just grocery stores kind of thing?
Yeah. I would say that comes down to lack of adequate access to transportation. So basically, you know, our bus routes don't really go to the grocery stores, certainly not all of them. And it's hard to like get transportation to the food pantries, especially like I can't afford a car. I bike, you know, pretty much everywhere. But not even there's people that don't even have the privilege of biking, you know. So I would say that food access in Denton is very lacking.
we did speak on this before a little bit, but do you think a lack of family support or just even in general as friends like that contributes a lot?
Well, I feel like that's less family and friend support, and I feel like that's more of a societal support. Like, we live in a society that like really has stripped the infrastructure that because parents are having to work all the time, and we don't have that in schools, and we don't have because people have to work all the time and to like barely afford to eat. We don't have like the means to form those communities because we're too busy trying not to die, basically. So less friends and families, more societally, but I do think that there's more that like are the structures that raise our kids, like especially schools, could do to like improve that.
And then what do you feel most contributes to the insecurity of food?
Oh yeah, definitely. Lack of wages, lack of wage growth proportional to the cost of living and inflation. If you if you don't make enough money, it doesn't matter if you just don't have it. You can't save money. If you don't have the money, you can't afford the things. That's the way it works. So definitely wages, because I feel like if wages were higher, parents could afford to like also, teach their children how to cook. If we also secondarily more funding for schools, because if schools had more funding for programs to feed children and also programs to teach children to feed themselves, that would improve things massively.
Is there anything you think the university could do to improve this problem, or is it too broad?
Yeah, I think as I mentioned earlier, definitely improving access and quality of the food pantries would go a long way. But I think building a community and a social group around feeding ourselves and each other in like a mutual manner is like going to be the answer.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions? Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. I'll go ahead and give this back.